everybody. Good morning to you all. Happy Figured Out Friday to you. Happy Figured Out Friday to you. Guys, thank you so much for being on this Figured Out Friday moment. Colin, man, look at Colin. I know he's not on Alaska time all. I know he's over. He's getting closer. I can sniff Charlie. I can sniff Charlie. No. What in the world is Jennifer wearing? What is that on her head? It can't be winter already over there, Jennifer. Please tell me it's not winter over there. Please tell me it's not winter in Michigan.
It's low 40s, and my 5-mile walk this morning was brisk. I'll just say that.
Chilly Willie, you won't be wearing
Yes.
what Diane's wearing over there. Diane's got the guns out. She got her workout in. She's like, it
Love
is
it.
not cold over there in Charlotte. We actually have some fall-like temperatures, Jennifer. It's beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. There's no humidity, like upper 70s, low 80s. It is really, really nice out. So good morning, everybody. Good morning to y'all. Happy Figured Out Friday. It is game day today. Coach Sullivan, Coach Jada. I get to see him today, and I get to see Chad Free's son play football, what I truly, truly love, and I'm excited to go see them play. They're about an hour from me in Charlotte. They're playing Clover, so I'm figuring out my schedule. Let's just be honest. I already figured out my schedule, and I'm going to be down there this evening to go watch them play. I asked Jade, I said, do you mind if I put the headset on? I want to know some of the plays. I want to know some of the plays. I want to be in their ear. I asked him, because back in the day when I coached, we got sideline passes. I was like, can I get a sideline pass? I want a sideline. I want to be right there in it. So he's hooking me up. So I'm very blessed and thankful to see them today. So before I bring our guest on, I got a figured out moment. I got a figured out moment that I want to ask y'all for your help. We are trying to figure out the way people log into this show. And I need to ask, okay, there's going to be a couple numbers for you that I need you to pay attention to really quickly here. If you have to sign on, especially those of you that come on religiously, if you have to log in, do you have to like re-register every single time? If you do, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, and all you do is click on the link and it brings you right here, put a 2 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat. If you get to log in right away, do you get an email from us? Do you ever get an email from us congratulating, welcoming you into it? Put a 3 in the chat if you receive some of our emails. If not, it could be going to spam. So put those numbers in the chat if you don't mind. So that way we can go and take a look to see if we're having issues. Okay, most of you are 2s, a couple 1s that you have to log in. You have to log in every time, huh? Okay. Well, we're not going to dissect that problem right now. I just got a figure it out moment that I want to make sure that we're trying to really simplify it. So without further ado, let's jump into today's show. Good morning, everybody. My name is Coach Brock Zevan, life coach, business coach, real estate coach, and a DAD. And I'm just very blessed to be able to help several people this week in their business, what's going on in their personal life, as well as they hear my stories of what's going on in some of my personal stuff. So thank you so much for being vulnerable. Thank you so much for the opportunity that I get to coach you and be with you in that. And that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. So today's guest, Mr. Dan Rochon, he and I met several years ago on, I can't even remember. He does coaching, and him and I were talking, and he invited me on his show, and so I started coaching his program once a week on Thursdays. And how many of you put a 7 in the chat? Put a 7 in the chat that you've might have separated, but you're still in an alignment. Like you still see that person doing things on Facebook. You still see them grinding and growing and doing things, and they're still engaging. And then like you align again. Like you might have left for a year, but then you align back up, and it's like riding a bike. You pick up where you left off. And it even seems like the engagement is even higher because we both grew. And we started asking deeper questions, started doing different things. And literally that's how Dan and I reconnected about a month ago. And we just started going one thing after the next. And He actually is leading a very higher level mastermind that he does. It's our first one's this Friday today at 2 o'clock that I'm really, really excited to be a part of. And so that's what happened with Dan and I. And next thing I know, freaking the guy's writing this huge ass book. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's like 200 and some pages. It's an amazing book. I took out 5 things that we might talk about today. We might get into all 5. We might not get into all of them. I don't know, but we're gonna make sure that you have access to his book to be able to pre-order his book, Teach to Sell. And you'll notice that it's really what I like about the concepts about selling anything. That's why when I coach people, I coach breweries, insurance, lenders, landscapers, real estate agents. It doesn't matter because the language is all the same when it comes time for teaching. Okay. Uh, Diane, aviating and what she does with cleaning airplanes and glow up tanning. We got caskets. Another person on here sells caskets. So it's to teach to sell, which I love the concept of what it is. And we're going to talk a little bit about the behind the scenes and how he had to figure it out and why he picked certain topics. And we're going to get into a little bit of some of these topics because they're all about mindset that I picked out on that. So, guys, give me a warm welcome. Put some 5s in the chat. Put some hearts in the chat for me, man. Mr. Dan Rochon. Good morning, brother.
Good morning. What's a 7 for? I missed that. I got distracted. I see sevens in there.
7s? I don't know why.
Sevens in the chat. There's sevens.
There's 7s. Why do we put a 7 in the chat? What do we put a 7 for? Did we put a 7 for something? What do we do?
Michelle
I
and Jay and Danny and Dee and Sherry and
realigning.
Kat. Oh, that's
7s, I
realigning?
guess, was realigning, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I said it. I don't even know sometimes what I say, John Hart. People falling off and coming back. Okay, there we go. We get 7s. Oh, that's right. I put a 7. Boy, I forgot that like a realignment, how you and I realigned ourselves.
Ah, got it. Got it. Okay.
Yes, that was our
Um,
realignment that you and I connected, and then we didn't
uh-huh.
talk to each other for about a year. We had a little separation, and then we brought back together again, and you and I were like
The band got
realigned
back
ourselves.
together. The band got
Yeah,
back together.
yeah. So good morning,
Uh,
man. Tell us a little bit about you, man. Give us a 30-second type of
yeah.
10,000-foot overview so people get to know you.
Yeah, before I do that, hello Cullen and hello Kat. So there's sevens there. There's more people for me to reconnect that I know here. And Jennifer, hello Brock, Diane, welcome, and Mr. Sullivan. I don't know your first name, but Sherry, Rika, and Tracy and John and Dee and Bethany and Michelle and Mike and Jacqueline and I think and Zoom user. I think if I didn't say your name, you're the most important person that I wanted to not mention. So a little bit about me, 30,000 viewpoint. I've been selling real estate since 2007. And my first 6 months in sales, I had no sales at all. So maybe some of you can recognize that. I did figure it out though for Figure It Out Friday. And 6 months in, I figured out my way to sell. Today I call that Teach to Sell. And between month 6 and month 18, I was able to sell enough transactions to be able to buy the brokerage I worked for. That was a Keller Williams Realty franchise. I was the operating partner for that franchise for 10 years, from 2008 to 2018. And the entire journey, I have continued to sell real estate. Around 2018, I opened up my own coaching company, wrote my first book, Real Estate Evolution, the 10-step guide to CPI. And that was a big hit, but not big enough. I sold around 10,000 copies of that. And now I've got my second book for Simon & Schuster called Teach to Sell, Why Top Performers Never Sell and What They Do Instead. And my intention is to get 1 million books sold next year. So to do that, I need 40,000 books sold in the first 2 weeks. And I am at 59 books sold right now in the pre-sale. So that's a little bit about me. But my most proud accomplishment I've ever done is I've had no broke months as a real estate agent since 2008, and that's my most proud. And there's been some struggling months, and right now I'm struggling. For transparency, I mean I'm doing okay, right? Like I'm still having no broke months, couple, 2, 3 transactions a month, but I've got a lot of expenses on my team, and so that's where I'm at.
I love it, man. I'm going to go back to a couple things that you said here because you're going to resonate the conversation that we're having today and to figure it out is the first 6 months. How many of you been through a dry spell? How many of you been through a little bit of a dry spell in some capacity, in some way, and you're like, it's just not working. I don't know about this. And so you have this, you're green, Dan. And then you kind of have this pissed off moment where you have this enough is enough. And you're like, after that, the next 18 months, I just freaking said, screw it, I'm going to dominate. And then I'm going to go buy a franchise. And like, walk us through just, if you don't mind, like that moment where you're just like, I've had it. I got to figure this out because I can't, because obviously you can't continue to raise a family and knowing your daughter and where you are as a family guy and a dad, like what happened?
Yeah. So I was waiting tables at the time. So I think at the time it was before I was a dad, and I was married at the time, and we got divorced a few years ago. But I didn't want to be a waiter, right? So imagine this: I was 32 years old when I started real estate sales, and I was waiting tables. It was a great job. I made a lot of money. But I was also, I was at a huge transition in my life. I had recently discovered sobriety. I've been sober now for more than 20 years.
Awesome, man.
And before the sobriety, I was drinking a dozen beers and 2 bottles of wine every single day. I mean, it was, it was my escape from the age of 13 until it became my cage in my early 30s. And so for me, it was really just about discovering that, first of all, discovering that I didn't want to, I was made a decision to be a different person. And I didn't know how, okay, and it took me around 6 months or so to sort of figure out how to do this, but I knew I was not going to be that drunk waiter,
Mm.
right? And so it's really about, like, I had the experience of a very dysfunctioning human being that would never have lived to the age that I am today. If I would have continued, I would have been dead 15 years ago easily. And go from a very dysfunctioning addict to knowing that I'm not going to go there.
Dan, I'm learning a little bit about your story right now, and I appreciate your vulnerability. And it's funny, but it's not funny. The alignment, guys, is very, very crazy right now in my world because I started real estate in 2007. And I love the line. It said, I was drinking to escape myself into a cage. And it just resonated with me because that's what I did too. I drank to hide and to run and to live a different lifestyle. And then I was like, I'd be dead too if I
For
didn't
those
make
of you
some
that
like
didn't
change.
know it, you're attending Brock and Dan's AA meeting right now. Just so.
And it's just like, I was like, wow. And then the thing is that then you made a decision that you didn't want to be this way. How many of you on here today know the decision that you're supposed to make, but you're freaking scared to make it because it's unknown? It's uncharted territory. It's like, damn, because I think, Dan, as I know you understand this, we are more scared and fearful of success and the comfort of being mediocrity is better. It's like, you know what? I'd rather be comfortable living like this than face potential success. And so I appreciate you sharing that. So here you are, Dan. You get yourself going and growing and to the franchise level that you are with success and in your business. At what point do you start making these decisions, these breakthrough moments to write this book or to continue? I mean, 1 million sales. Hats off to you, man. That's very, very impressive.
Did you
And
say
as
a
I
million sales? I have not made a million sales, just for
no, a
clarity.
million
But
books. You want to sell 1 million
oh,
books.
oh yeah, yes, absolutely, yeah. So all right, so let me show you.
What made you decide to do that? Because I mean, guys, in case you don't know, that's a very, very impressive goal. And I love it. And we're gonna put your link on here to buy your book. But what made you go through that? Like, what figured out point did you like, you know what, I got to figure out how to write a book to create great content and then to be like, how many do I want to sell? Like, what does
I've
that
never
process
done
go
this,
like?
Brock. Do you guys see that? Do you see this right here? Am I on screen?
Yeah.
All right. You see this? When I sold the brokerage I used to own in 2018, I sat down and said, what the heck's next? And I got these books out. In these books, literally this stack of books is it's about a foot and a half from the desk up, right? And I opened up these books, and this is everything that I've learned since I've been selling real estate. Not everything, right? But it's a lot that I've been learning. And so I've been taking notes, attending things like this, and I've been taking notes, the entire time. And so I took out my notebook and I said, "What did I learn? What's next?" Because I didn't have a clarity on this,
Mm,
and I thought I was going to be writing a series of ebooks, and so I started writing, and that's where real estate evolution came from. Okay, when when I when I wrote real estate evolution, again, we sold 10,000 of those, and that was a journey. It took me 13 months to write that, and I wrote every single day, Christmas included, Thanksgiving included, 1 to 3 hours. I'd wake up at 4 in the morning, and I would write till 7 or 8, and then I'd get my business day started. So that was my first book. My second book, about 2 years ago, one of my coaches, right? And so all of you that are here, following Brock's coaching and others, you're smart because everybody who wants to succeed, and I've had 2 to 3 to 4 coaches my entire career, including today. And so my coach 2 years ago said, "Hey, your book was great. Now let's make an impact, right? And
mm,
let's make an impact in the world because Dan, you figured out something that most business owners, casket makers that you said, and salon owners, and you figured out things in the marketplace that most never figure out. And your book, Real Estate Evolution, was great, but I think we can make an impact." And so it was the inspiration to say, okay, I do have this experience that very, very few people have of owning a large organization. And I didn't get into, those are the broad brushstrokes, right? Now I've owned title companies and mortgage companies and all kinds of different crazy stuff, right? And all the entire time I've been a real estate agent, which is the hardest, by the way. Of anything I've ever done, being a real estate agent is freaking hard. And so it was an inspiration a couple years ago to say, well, I've got the experience. And not only, there's a lot of people have experience such as I do, but very few of them that's documented it. Okay. Like I've documented my journey step by step. And as I've done that, I realized that I've got a message for the world. And so when I said, well, how can I spread that message? I can spread that message by documenting the journey of going from a drunk waiter who didn't feel he was worthy to being a successful business owner. And exactly how did I do that, from believing in myself to figuring out how to find business, figuring out how to hire and fire, to understanding how to lead so that other people know how to think so they can get what they want. And that was the journey for Teach to Sell. So then I wrote the book, and and then you talk about commitment. It took me a year and a half to find a publisher that would say yes. And when I say a year and a half, it wasn't like I sent an email and then waited 6 months for somebody to come back. It was a year and a half of like grind, of daily grind. And Simon and Schuster said yes, and they are a pretty big deal. And it's interesting because I was supposed to be doing a TED Talk next week, but the organizer's mom passed away, so we're delaying that. And when I tell people I'm doing a TED Talk, it's going to happen, right? I just don't know the date, in Florence, Italy. When I tell people I'm doing a TED Talk, they're very, very impressed. When I tell people that I'm getting a book published by Simon and Schuster, like, whatever. Well, let me tell you, the difference between getting a TED booked on a TED Talk, and that took me one day to get a TED Talk. I asked some friends, who do you know? And they introduced me, and boom, I meet this guy, Claudio, in Florence, Italy. And he invites me out to talk on the stage. And I'm grateful for that, right? And but the difference between getting booked on a TED Talk and getting Simon Schuster to say yes, oh my goodness. it's like 1 to 84 million of like, the degree of effort into it. And so that's where I am.
I love, first of all, congratulations, because people don't realize well, they do realize it, but like a year and a half of no's, failures, and to be able to continuously show up and ask people, would you be doing this? Would you do this? Would you do this? And one of the things I liked about your book, and one of the I highlighted this year that really reached out to me, was in chapter 4. But it says here on the screen, it says discipline leads to habit, which leads to success. And I found that very I'm like, that is so true. Like momentum and all that motivation stuff. Yes, it lasts and it's there. I mean, it might be there for a little bit, but it's the discipline that you had, Dan, and maybe you can elaborate on this section right here, why you put that in your chapter in this book here. But like, that's the discipline, is showing up every single day to ask this book company for a year and a half, not a day, not a week, not a month, a year and a half. Give me an at-bat. Give me a chance. Talk to me a little bit about that section of the book there that really resonated with you.
Yeah. So to understand that section, you have to first understand the antagonist of the book. And so in the book, the hero of the book is the reader. The antagonist in the book is not worthy. And so when we consider what is it that's going to stop us from getting what we want, it's that belief of I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy to be able to achieve something. When I was 8 years old, 8 or 9 years old, my English teacher told my mother, "You're going to be, he's going to be an author." And my mom scoffed at that. We're not that type of people. We're poor people. We're not that's not us.
Mm.
And that got embedded in my subconscious. My destiny was a drunk waiter or a successful business owner slash author entrepreneur. Right? I could have gone down either path. All right. So for me, that was my demon. That was my antagonist. And so when you get to the discipline leads to habit and the habit leads to results, the challenge with that is that we start something and we get rejected and then we feel like shit. And then we
Mhm.
stop. So instead of focusing on the results, what I've trained myself is to focus on the activity. And now that I focus on the activity, I consider myself a success when I do the activity. I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, I had 3 closings in one day. And the next day, I'm coaching in my group, and somebody says, "Oh, you had a very successful day yesterday." I said, "No, I didn't." "What do you mean? You had 3 closings?" "No, that's a result of many successful days. I didn't have the opportunity to do my job yesterday."
Mm.
Like, what the hell do you mean you didn't have your job? You had 3 closings. Like, I didn't do my job. My job is to lead generate. Because I had 3 closings and because I wasn't able to leverage one of those closings to somebody else to attend it, I was distracted the entire day not doing my job.
Mm. So true. So true. You were servicing those tasks, not income producing new tasks, new opportunities, new conversations, which is our job, to be able to have conversations with people to lead us to whatever sale we're trying to do. Um, in reference to time, because I can really get into this for a while. The next one that I wrote down that I really liked was, let me go to my screen here. I'll just show you. And see, the fun thing is Dan has no idea what I'm about to show him. The one that really
It's
struck me,
okay. I
which
know
was
the author.
that's why I was like, he'll know what I'm doing. So
Mm.
this next one is upgrade your environment. And in this, we talk about your environment all the time. And one of them was number 6. And the reason why this one stuck out to me is I'm working with this group in Naples, Florida, and create a board of directors in your mind. And I'm just going to leave it at this all, because this is your homework for those of you on here. You can do this in artificial intelligence, and you can pick your board of directors in artificial intelligence. I'm doing it right now. and you can pick a variety of people. You can go to artificial intelligence and create a board of directors and give a list. But I thought that that was awesome that you did that, because my perspective is you need outside input and different perspectives to be able to make decisions, because the only time when you make decisions, you use your previous experiences to make today's decisions, and they're not always accurate because we don't have the exposure. So Dan, in reference to you putting the board of directors, what was your thought process when you put that into this chapter?
Yeah, let me explain what the board of directors is. So, first of all, I got that concept from this book, Think and Grow Rich. You're making me have to go all around my office to pick stuff up as you're talking, right?
There we go. I like to keep you on your toes, brother.
I know, man. This is Think and Grow Rich. You can see this is my like you can see like maybe I've gone through this a little bit, right? This isn't my copy. Like I'm done with this copy. I listened to it now on audio. I'm only done with this because it's literally falling apart. And Napoleon Hill wrote this in the early 1900s and was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, who at the time would be say Elon Musk without the controversy. Well, no, he had controversy too, just different controversy. And so Napoleon Hill put that book together, and in that book, Think and Grow Rich, he talks about the concept of a board of directors. And I cite him in my book, I cite him, where I get this from because I always do. And so what the board of directors is it's a, when I go to sleep at night, there's a couple things here. First of all, I don't talk about this next piece in the book, but when I go to sleep at night, I talk to my board of directors about a problem that I'm having about an hour before I go to sleep. Every single night I do this. And sometimes somebody from the board will give me advice. And sometimes I'll dream about it. But most often I wake up and I have the solution. And so the way that works is I've got people on the board in different niches, different characteristics, different values and strengths. Strengths is the word I'm looking for. So for example, if I want to know if I have a challenge with servicing clients, like maybe I got a bad, so like that day I got a client was pissed off at me. Really, they needed a price adjustment. But, nonetheless, there's that, right? And they're upset with me. And I'm like, okay, how can I improve my service? Then I'll ask Walt Disney. If I'm thinking about marketing and I want to say, how can I improve my marketing? I'll ask P.T. Barnum. If I'm thinking about real estate sales, I'll think about Gary Keller, who I know him personally, right? Or I'll think of Leo Pereira. I know Leo Pereira personally as well. If you don't know these names, just Google it. I don't want to, go in different directions with this. But so I have this board of directors for different physical fitness. I'll ask Schwarzenegger. In fact, Schwarzenegger, if you talk about like if somebody to study, he's a great person to study. And when I say that, people they don't get it. This is a man that has been elite 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% in 4 different venues: bodybuilding, acting, governorship, and one that you probably don't know, or you may or may not know, real estate investing. In fact, he did real estate investing before he did anything else. That's how he got this money to be able to focus on the other 3. And so these are 4 things. Here's one man who could be not just Mr. Universe, but also the governor of California and also the Terminator. Right? Like, so he's definitely on my board of directors. I can't always understand him, right? But he's there.
And that's the thing, is having outside opportunities to understand conversations, and you can do this all with the resources that we have in today's world. There could be other people that are on the show here today that you can have a conversation with who have experiences to be able to help you. Now, obviously,
John, that's funny.
have all the time in the world here to be able to do it, but this is his book, Teach to Sell, in 239 pages. And he sent me over the manuscript. So thank you so much. I've been reviewing it and looking at it, but a lot of amazing things on here in the chapters and what he has. And so if you want his book, we have it in the chat. So click on the link, at least click on it. So that way you have it in your browser. So when it pulls up. So what I want to end with, because it's already 8:46, My infamous question that I ask every guest that are on here, Dan, based off all the knowledge, everything that you've been through, which I love you sharing that story, which once again resonated with me because my English teacher told me that I would never be successful in English because I never had above a 65 and I should be thankful just to speak. That resonated with me when I was writing my book. And so there's always little experiences that we have in our past. Everything that you put inside your head, Dan, all your experiences. What's the one thing you like to leave us with today?
Believe in yourself. It starts, and that's for everybody. I'm talking to you right now, Brock, but I'm talking to everybody here. Colin, D, Sherry, Rika, I'm talking to you. Believe in yourself. Okay? Figure out Friday. I'm going to rename it to figure out Monday, figure it out Tuesday, figure it out Wednesday, figure it out Thursday, etc. Okay? Because with that belief in yourself, but not a false belief. Listen, yesterday I made a really bad mistake yesterday. I took a break, which is unusual, and I took out my phone and I was playing solitaire. I never play any games on my phone. Well, something popped up. It says update the version of solitaire. I click it and my phone, guess what? I had to do a factory reset. I'm up at 5 this morning and I almost got it figured out. Figure out how to redo my phone. I'm in a chicken and egg situation. I need to reset it with my Google, but then I need to validate it with an SMS, with a text. Well, guess what? I don't have my text because my phone is dead. So it's like this circular thing, but I almost have it figured out. But guess what? When I woke up at 5, I want a million faith. I know I will figure it out. By the end of the day, I will have my phone working. Okay, it's just not a choice. And this is something that I have no aware. Like I don't know. Like that's not my gig, right? Like I'd rather run a marathon and backwards than have to figure this stupid phone out. But I have faith and belief in myself, and I know because I believe that I'm going to be able to do it. I will do it. So if you sit there and you say, "What is I will sell 1 million books," because I believe I'll do it. I will find a world-class publisher. And I did because I believe I will do it. I'll have no broke months since 2008 as a real estate agent because I believe I will do it. Now, guess what? It takes a step past belief. It takes action. If you're familiar with the book, The Secret had it almost right. The Secret said belief, but The Secret didn't say then action. So it's belief plus action, but it's belief first.
I love it. I love it. Dan, thank you so much for sharing this morning. Guys, we put his information in the chat. We will also put it on the Brock Zevan's Mindset Facebook page. That way you can go to it to take a look at it. This recording, maybe there's a little segment. Maybe there's a clip in here that you want. You can trim it down and listen to some of the stuff again. You can get the transcript as well on my YouTube page. To go to the Brock Zevan's YouTube page to take a look at that type of stuff. Guys, I'm so blessed to have Dan here. Guys, put a 5 in the chat. Put a 5 in the chat if you got something out of Dan today. Put some love in the chat if you got something from Dan today. And guys, go get his book. I think it's really, really amazing. And all the stuff that he took, those notebooks, put them to use. Because how many of us have those notebooks that are in our bottom of our shelf? We don't even know where they are half the time. So go take a look at that. Click on that link. Dan, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being on here. And I look forward to talking to you today at 2:00.
I look forward to it. God bless
Guys,
everybody.
thank you guys all so much for being here. Appreciate y'all. Till then, we'll be back Monday, 8:15 Eastern time. We'll be back here again. Guys, I appreciate, looks like somebody's calling Diane. Wendy's calling Diane. Guys, God bless you all. Be safe, be healthy. Until then, I'll see you Monday at 8:15. See ya.